Alright guys, well, it's up and running as the last video that I posted. It was just a short, like 50-second video of it actually running. I didn't have much time that day to get into things. Once again, quite a bit's happened since the last time I did a video. I got all the electronics done, which was a big thing. The coil and the plug wires and all that. But then also the wiring and plumbing up this oil tank. And where this tank is at, one of the challenges was, number one, forward mounting the oil tank to begin with instead of it being in the back. But then the other thing was the lines. I mean, I basically had to make a tunnel over this exhaust. And it's actually hard line back here. And the feed line, I don't know if how well you can see it, is right down there. That hard line right there. Simply because it has to be lower than the oil pump. The oil pump pickup on the bottom of the engine. So I got all that, and like I talked about in a previous video, I had to make this adapter right there for this 90 and this elbow to mount to the carburetor and be in this straight up position. And I know somebody else had pointed it out on my Instagram, and I know myself, I've seen these type of air filters on choppers and customs with them mounted up like this as well. But I think my mistake was I searched this air filter for a Sportster, which this was for a Sportster, and the only configuration that it will bolt on here is forward, like it would be on the bike, because obviously on a Sportster this would be going into the gas tank. So I know they make these like this, but I should have just searched for an upwards mounting cone air filter for a custom for a CV40 carb rather than for searching specifically for a Sportster. So that, and then the other thing was the wiring. Good Lord. Like, it seemed so hard to get a straight answer, and just from my years of experience, I knew it couldn't have been that difficult for what I was trying to get at this stage of the game, which was just getting it running. Because basically, you need a start, a way to stop the engine, and for your ignition to be hot. I mean, for an engine to run, that's all you need. And I had looked up all kinds of videos and everything on basically chopper wiring and how to wire your chopper, your bobber, blah, blah, blah. And it's like I just could not get a straight answer. And after I dug around enough and thought about each part, I came up with I think it's an extremely simple solution. So I basically broke it down into two parts, which was the ignition side, which would be your coil and plug wires and key ignition on the inside. And then I broke it down to the return side, which is the charging side to the battery and a start-stop button. So really simple. This has one wire making it hot, and it's an electronic ignition. It's an Ultima single fire unit, so it's basically self-contained. It doesn't need the module that's on the factory bike. So there's only one hot wire that goes to this. I mounted the rectifier / regulator right there, which I wanted it in a place where I could get fresh incoming cool air, like on the bike, but yet be behind this so that it would be safe. So there's two wires that come from your stator into that, with one wire that comes out, which is that red hot wire right there. and I basically made a pin connector for it right there and shrink wrapped it all nice and neat and everything. So that's your new regulated voltage going out. And it comes right over to here, which this obviously is not going to be the permanent home for this, but this is a 30 amp auto reset breaker. It's coming in on this line and it's going out on this line, and that line goes to the positive terminal on the battery. And the ground is basically just to right there, so that basically the engine and frame is grounded off of this. Actually, that's supposed to be the stock location for the bike too. So the ground is simple, and then the positive is basically to the starter, the positive terminal, and then I basically ran one positive wire off of that with another 30 amp auto reset breaker right there, and that's what makes the coil hot. And then the other one basically comes off of here, and I ran it to this toggle kill switch, and that goes to this start stop button. And I put this in so that basically you got to flip this toggle switch to make the start stop, well, it's really just the start button, hot, so that basically you can't accidentally bump this anytime or when the engine's running and engage the starter. So that's all this does. You can flip it on to make your button hot whenever you start it, and then, you know, even after it's running, I just turn this off. So again, there's no way you can accidentally engage the starter. And then keyed ignition. This is actually for a Sportster. And when this is off, it kills the power to the ignition. When it's in the ignition position, it makes the coil hot. And later, whenever I get to lights and all that stuff, I plan on putting a UTV stereo in here too. That's going to obviously be on the accessory wire, which right now I just have it rolled back in the harness right there. That blue wire, it's just accessory, so it just rolled back out of the way. So this is a temporary auxiliary can. You can see my jerry-rigged can right here just to get gas to the engine. I've just got it basically hanging from the ceiling. And so basically whenever we go to start this, again, have to put this down. The ignition goes in the run position. Flip this to the on position. And then your start stop button. And that's basically all there is to it. Sounds pretty nice. Turn the ignition off and off it goes. So that was a pretty simple deal. I had went through, I don't even know how many dozens of crazy explanations on, you know, wire it this way, wire it that way. But whenever I really got in there and started messing with it, it was a pretty simple deal. I mean, it's just a V-twin 4-stroke. So it's like, how complicated can it be, especially with a carburetor? There's not even an injection and a computer to deal with and blah, blah, blah. So that's what's going on, and getting ready to get going on the grill pretty soon. So that's gonna change the look of the front end quite a bit. You know, basic 30s Ford grill. And also, like I had mentioned in the beginning, I'm gonna be changing this line so that it's like the other side. So I'm basically gonna cut all of that out and have one tube across there. And, you know, just because it's more of a hot rod line. But for now, it's been great for getting in there and working on the back side of the engine. So that's where I'm at right now, guys. I'll keep you updated. Thanks for everyone lately that's been supporting me. Even big companies like Bailey and Harley Davidson people and a couple people on Instagram. I never expected this build to get so popular. So thanks everyone for sharing your support lately. I really appreciate it.